Man, when I was at the underground church in China, okay, they said it's a little dangerous. This is where they're training some of the missionaries. And so I didn't take my whole family. I just took my oldest daughter because she's the most expendable. And so we go and, firstborn. And so we go and, man, I wish I could transport you there. I wish you could have just walked into this environment and listened to the way they prayed. Listen to the way they sought after God. Listen to their testimonies. They start talking about different times when the police came after them because they were, gunshots, and they're just talking about, not in this solemn way, but with joy. Like, man, it was awesome. They were firing at us and we're running, and I'm just wanting to hear more and more and more. And they finally asked me a question. They're like, why are you so interested in this? And I said, because this is not the way it is in America.
Hello and welcome to Kingdom Light TV, and welcome to this special edition where we are taking a deep look at the spate of Christian persecution in China. Kindly subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button for very insightful and soul-lifting Christian content. When we talk about Christian persecution and clamping down on churches by government forces in today's world, one country seems to be relentless and consistently in the news because of the way and manner it goes about it. China is a country known for its religious intolerance. The persecution against Christians in China can only be likened to some of the stories we have read about in the Bible. China has long had a complicated and often hostile relationship with Christianity and other faiths. But over the past year, under President Xi Jinping's government, we have seen an intensification of actions against Christians, house churches, pastors, and worshippers. Actions that are drawing international attention and concern. Just recently, Chinese authorities conducted a massive raid on Christian faith groups days before Christmas in Wenzhou, known as China's Jerusalem, detaining hundreds of worshippers, as reported by the Foundation for Defense Democracies. Many were from Yongyang Church, one of the largest unregistered Protestant congregations in China. Authorities deployed more than 1,000 police officers, SWAT units, riot control forces, and firefighters in Wenzhou in coastal Zhejiang province. Many Chinese Christians pray at house churches and in communities that are unregistered with the Chinese Communist Party (CCP) out of a desire to practice their faith freely. The police also arrested prominent church leaders who protested the CCP's oppression of Christians in the past. On January 8, 2026, authorities returned to Wenzhou to demolish Yayang Church while simultaneously arresting the pastor of Early Rain Covenant Church, which faced raids in the past. The arrest represents one of the largest crackdowns on Christians since the days of Chairman Mao Zedong, who completely banned religion. But in spite of the crackdowns, reports show that the Christian population in China has been increasing nonetheless, with government figures at 44 million Christians, while private research revealed about 100 to 120 million Christians exist in China. The Chinese governments in the recent past have been very innovative in their bids to clamp down on churches, and they have devised all kinds of means, such as 1. The sinicization of churches. This means all churches will be adapted to fit the goals of the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. Churches who identify with the CCP are often required to sing the communist anthem before their services. 2. Forcing churches to register under state-approved bodies. This helps the government to properly monitor these churches and their activities. One way they do so is by planting cameras and facial recognition softwares in those churches. 3. Restriction of religious materials online such as the Bible, removal of crosses and religious symbols. 4. Restriction of missionaries. Most missionaries have had to come under several umbrella names some coming in as aid workers or even skilled persons. Yet the government fishes them out and has placed a ban on missionaries. 5. Pastors are constantly arrested for receiving tithes and offering, and they are being tagged criminals. For unregistered churches or those who have refused to be controlled by the CCP, they are the major targets and worst hit when the government goes against churches. It might interest you to know that there are several other religions in China, like the Buddhists, atheists, and Hindus, but Christianity is gaining more grounds and spreading rapidly. For churches who refuse to register under the government, they are frequently under attack, which has made them to worship in underground locations called underground churches. The underground meeting points seem to be the safest and are often packed filled with Christians willing to worship God. They spend lots of hours singing and learning from the Bible under very low temperatures. Here's how an American pastor described his experience when he visited one of the underground churches in China.
I went to Asia because I thought, man, I've always heard about the underground church in China. I want to see it. And I was blown away. And I go, wow, that looks just like what I read about. It finally makes sense. Then I went to India, and I spoke at a conference for the persecuted church, people who had lost their lives, or no, they did not lost their lives, their relatives. They watched their relatives die, people that were missing limbs, people with scars on their body, beaten for their faith. And I was so blown away that I asked the leader, because after a week there, I'm going, it seems like everyone's serious about God here. Where are the casual ones? There's got to be. And he says, well, actually, there aren't. He goes, that doesn't make sense in this region. Why would you casually become a Christian? You lose everything. You lose your job, you lose your home, you get ostracized from your village. Look at all these people. They had to flee into the jungles for their lives. Why would you casually do that? I thought, wow. Man, when I was at the underground church in China, okay, they said it's a little dangerous. You know, this is where they're training some of the missionaries. And so I didn't take my whole family. I just took my oldest daughter because she's the most expendable. And so we go and, firstborn. And so we go and, man, I wish I could transport you there. I wish you could have just walked into this environment and listened to the way they prayed. Listen to the way they sought after God. Listen to their testimonies. They start talking about different times when the police came after them because they were, gunshots, and they're just talking about, not in this solemn way, but with joy. Like, man, it was awesome. They were firing as we're running, and I'm just wanting to hear more and more and more. And they finally asked me a question. They're like, why are you so interested in this? And I said, because this is not the way it is in America. And they're like, really? I go, in America, we have these buildings called churches. And we actually just attend there for like an hour and a half a week. And we switch, like if there's a better speaker at a different one, we'll go to that one. And if there's better music at another one, we'll go to that one. If we're going to fight with someone, we'll switch to this one. If the child care is better. And these people just start laughing. Not like giggling, but like hysterically. And I wasn't trying to be funny. I was just explaining why it was so intriguing to me. I go, but they were literally laughing to where my daughter, when we left, she was, 16 or so, 14. She says to me, Dad, that was weird. I go, I know. She goes, did you see the way they were laughing and you weren't even being funny? I go, exactly. But they thought it was comical because they're going, how did you get that from this? How did you get there? And you start realizing that the majority of the world, for me in the States, going, man, they actually find what we call their Christianity laughable because the lack of congruency from this book, because we keep changing things.
In all of these, the willingness Joy and zeal to serve God in spite of the dangers is what is so amazing. Tearfully, they worship God and are not afraid to give up their lives. The Chinese government is not ready to relent, and so are the Christians in China. While we talk about Christian persecution in China, it is also noteworthy that this doesn't exist in China only. Countries in Africa like Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo have been flagged internationally for alleged killing of Christians. In fact, the difference in Christian persecution between China and Nigeria is that in China, Christians are arrested and detained in prison, but in Nigeria they are killed. Nigeria, Rwanda, China, Mozambique, and Mexico were the most dangerous countries for Christians from 2023 to 2025 in five distinct categories of persecution, according to Global Christian Relief in its second annual Red List. The GCR has revealed that Nigeria leads in the category of killings with 590 documented and verified killings from the study period of November 2023 to October 2025, based on a total number of 1,972 killings in the top five countries in the category. Following are the Democratic Republic of Congo with 447 killings, Ethiopia with 177 killings, Russia with 167 killings, and Mozambique with 94 killings. US President Donald Trump added Nigeria to the US State Department's list of countries of particular concern in 2025, guilty of outrageous and unchecked religious persecution based on the 1998 International Religious Freedom Act. In December, the US launched at least 16 Tomahawk missiles on targets in northwest Nigeria, but the impact has not been disclosed. Just like Jesus said in Matthew chapter 10 verse 22, "And you will be hated by all on account of my name, but the one who endures to the end will be saved." May we all be saved in Jesus' name. And this is where we draw the curtain on this edition. Kindly subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell. Thanks for watching.